or more specifically, Hoyin is going to be talking about how to solve hybrid team conflicts with face-to-face events, I believe. Online face-to-face events. That's the correct, I can't remember the exact title, Hoyin, but it's somewhere around there. And I think that this is something actually that's probably one of the biggest problems that we see inside of remote first teams. So Hoyin has a specific experience in this. It's something that, you know, he's built a product around this problem, which is really cool, which is what you're in right now. And he's going to be going through the presentation, and I am going to be the wacky sidekick that is going to ask weird, stupid questions if I don't understand something, which usually means I might be asking a lot of questions. But if you guys don't want me to ask as many questions, just kind of send me a subtle message in the chat saying, Liam, shut your mouth. I'm not allowed to swear because we're also streaming this on YouTube Live, but close your mouth. Don't speak anymore. Just let Hoyin go through his presentation. So yeah, I'm really excited to kind of see what we're going to be talking about today.
Thanks, Liam. First of all, I really want to thank Running Remote for this great opportunity. I went to the very first Running Remote, just kind of starting with the idea of Remo, and then now a few years later, you know, I have the product. Working with Running Remote, I think it's an honor, and I love it, and I love being part of it. So before we begin, I'm just going to give you guys a really quick run through on how to make the most out of this presentation format that we're in. So in this presentation format, everyone else is just an attendee. Previously, you were on the map, and you could kind of network with each other and hang out. But in here, you just pay attention to the presentation, which is today is me. On the right-hand side, you'll see 3 tabs. You have the chat, which right now is the general chat. And there's like a little arrow on the left right next to general chat, and you can click on that. And then it will divide up into different chat-like categories. Like there's public chat, chat with your table, and then also private chat messages too. The second one is participants. And this is like the list of participants and also who are the hosts. So you can see it's me, there's Liam, and then there's a colleague of mine, Roj. And then you can see the list of attendees as well. There's also a LinkedIn check-in box. So you can click on my LinkedIn, for example, like Hoyin founder of Remo, and it says LinkedIn, view profile. You can actually view my profile, my LinkedIn profile here. You can also view Liam's LinkedIn profile and other people who have also connected it. And you can also send them a private message. Finally, there's the Q&A. This is where all the action is. So you guys have questions, please fill out the Q&A here. I'm gonna just ask a really quick question, you know, what your favorite snack, and ask it. If you click on the Q&A part, there's that question that I just put up in the Q&A, and someone voted up. Perfect, thank you. My favorite snack is a Snickers bar. Thank you so much. And so please add questions here. I think Liam and I would be paying attention to it, and we'll be using that as like our guide in the conversation. Finally, like I think, you know, just as Liam said, I think we're kind of like going to keep it pretty casual today. Just I'm going to present and maybe have some conversation between Liam and I about the topic. So just keep it a little different. You know, we'll keep to the presentation too, but just have it a little bit more casual. So I'm going to start sharing my screen. Okay, so you see my screen here, and it's Keynote. It's a little bit strange, like in terms of like the formatting. So just excuse out how it is. I want to do the full like full screen, but sometimes Keynote is unable to do this. Anyways, so if you guys want to expand out the presentation, there's like a little gray button on like the top left corner with like arrows pointing out. You click on that and it will expand out the basically that stream, that presentation. Okay, so if everyone's ready, here we go. So today I'm going to talk about how we can use these hybrid events and how these hybrid events can really strengthen not only like remote teams, but also agile teams. And I'm going to show you how to create these events and how, in my experience, just in general, how this has worked, where for hybrid teams, where you have two cultural, strong cultures, that one is remote and one is co-located, how you can actually join these two cultures together. And I'm going to show you guys how to do that. So the first question that I really have is like, is just really this kind of a rhetorical question, really, which is, has anyone really attended a virtual networking event or a happy hour? And I'm sure if you guys are all remote, in the kind of remote workspace, I'm sure all of you guys may have attended an event really, really soon, in some point in your remote career. But when it comes to challenges with remote teams, these are all really familiar. Like we all kind of know these, and I'm just gonna really briefly go over them, which is it's very often that we feel isolated. It's difficult to socialize and meet others online. It's mostly potentially async communication. Nothing wrong with async, but sometimes some people don't like async and some people like sync. So it's just a matter of what you prefer or not like. Low fidelity communication, meaning it's not in person. It's the opposite. It's the opposite of in person, which is mostly text, image, and maybe recorded videos. And social media today, even though it promised to make us feel more connected, I think it's arguable that it's made us more disconnected than really connected. So what happens is that this leads remote teams that have weaker interpersonal relationships, lower employee engagement, and less fun in terms of their company culture. And ultimately, this may lower your efficiency, productivity, and your employee retention. So here are some of the challenges that there are with online events and webinars. And what's really interesting is that they did a survey, and it turns out that online events have that offline events in general, 48% of people actually attend these offline events to network with their peers, right? But one of the challenges with online events and webinars is that you can't really do this. When you go to a webinar like this, it's mostly like a very passive experience. Like everyone just sits there and then just interacts or just watches me or watches the presenter, but they don't really have a chance to interact with anybody else. And that is really difficult online, but this is the number one thing that people want. People want to interact and people want to network with their peers, to get that kind of sharing experience, not just from the presenter, but from their peers as well. So the challenge with this is that sometimes you get these events, these webinars, and maybe they might get some pretty good attendance, and I think that's okay. But when it comes to company online events, when people do, like, I'm sure all of you guys may have done these online events where the company might say, hey, let's all do an online hangout, or let's do an online happy hour. And one of the challenges with these online hangouts and happy hours is that sometimes they don't have a real specific purpose. Like they're just like, oh, let's just hang out, right? And sometimes these things can seem forced or mandatory fun, as like some people say. And one of the biggest challenges is that when you think about like a Zoom call, or you think about any kind of large group call, if you have 30 to 40 people on a group call, how many people can really talk at the same time? In reality, it's just one person can really talk at the same time, right? Which is really difficult. When you go to like an offline event and you're networking, it's actually really all of these small little groups kind of talking, right? Small groups talking to each other, having one-on-one conversations and building relationships. Relationships are built with small, intimate conversations, smaller conversations, rather than one large, huge conversation. And so when it comes to like hanging out, it's actually really weird to hang out on a conference call bridge. And I believe that's one of the challenges, is that we've taken conference call and called it video conference, which is good for meetings. It's fantastic for meetings. But when it comes to anything else, to socialize or to do any of the other activities, that way how human beings interact, it's actually not a very good way to do that. So these are some of the things that people do when it comes to like creating these online events. So they use Zoom breakout rooms, and of course there's Remo conference that you could use. Zoom breakout has a really good feature. You can click a button and it breaks out everyone. The biggest difference between Zoom breakout and Remo is In Zoom, the facilitator has all the power. They say, you guys all break out now, and press a button, you break out. And I want to bring you guys all together, press a button, everyone comes together. With remote conference, everyone has their own freedom to double click on any table, to go in wherever they want, and they have the freedom to talk to whoever they want. And also we've embedded the whole concept of networking in it. So you can check out your LinkedIn, you can get like that person's contact afterwards, in a much more authentic and much more relaxed setting. So it's just, you could say that it's more of a social version than Zoom. You could say that. So when it comes to virtual networking, this is what it looks like. It's what you just saw just now. It's a map with a bunch of tables, and you can double click onto each table to move to that table and talk to the people on that. Each table, you can imagine, is like its own little video call. And so you're just hopping into different conversations as you see fit to kind of, network with people and then go to another one. And you guys can try this right afterwards. So as I said, it's freedom to move and talk. So how do we do the online network events the right way? So here's kind of the way what I've found that really, really works really, really well for hybrid teams. With hybrid teams, you have the challenge where you have offline events that remote people cannot attend. And then you have remote events that offline people may feel awkward to attend, or they may attend, but it's just almost two different cultures, right? Co-located people, humans in general, and I wouldn't say co-located people, humans in general will default to the highest quality communication that is available to them. So if I'm sitting next to a person, and there's other people that I work with remotely, I'm gonna most likely talk to the person sitting next to me, more likely than not. And so that makes this really difficult. It makes it difficult to kind of bridge that gap. But the way how we found that bridges this gap in a much more easier way is by creating these online virtual events that really revolves around a talk. So kind of like what we're doing right now. And this is what we're going to talk about right now and how to do that. So you make the event sound purposeful, like an experience sharing, like a learning, a discussion, a talk. And you start with like 10 to 15 minutes of networking. People are networking and kind of hanging out. You have a short presentation about a specific topic that a lot of people actually want to learn about, 10 to 15 minutes. The shorter, the better. And then after that, you do networking again. So really here, what's the key? Well, the hack here is you use the event topic as the magnet for attendance. And it becomes the context for conversation. And then you sandwich networking on either sides, right? And so essentially what we're doing is it's a webinar. People think it's a webinar, but it's disguised as a virtual networking and a hangout event. So it becomes more of like a hangout. And I've hosted so many of these events that this is exactly what happens, is that afterwards, people now have something to talk about. They're like, hey, how's it going? How did you find the talk? It breaks the ice really, really easily. And let's check out what the next slide is here. And so that is the biggest difference. And what we found is with hybrid teams, and we've done this with a company in Colombia and some other hybrid teams, is that when hybrid teams hear and say, oh, there's like an online talk, they seem to have a higher chance to actually like say, oh, I'm going to attend this webinar and sit where my desk is. Like they don't necessarily say, hey, let's all go into a room or a meeting room and watch the webinar together. That may happen. I'm not saying that wouldn't, but the chances of that is slightly lower because everyone's kind of everywhere. So what interestingly happens is that everyone now is attending the webinar from their own computer. So suddenly everyone now is on the same level, is on the same playing field. They're all just sitting at their computer, attending the webinar, attending some topic, internal topic that's really interesting to them, and they attend it thinking that it's a webinar, but in actual fact afterwards, they're like networking with people that they've never met before internally in the company, or maybe they don't just talk very often. And then those relationships start building. We're like, say, hey, what topic are you working on? What thing are you doing? And what's interesting about this is that now it's under the guise of learning and development. It's like, hey guys, I did this project and I want to share what are my learnings on this project. Or let's say it's engineering, or maybe it's marketing, doing something that's really interesting that maybe is a topic that a lot of people always wanted to learn about. It could be work related, not work related, it doesn't really matter. And so people then don't start feeling like, oh, is this like a happy hour, or what is this? Like a lot of my teammates are like, they don't want to attend the happy hour sometimes because they're like, I'm too busy. I just want to do my work. But if it's something that's related to learning, then they're like, okay, you know what? I'll attend it because I'm learning something. I don't feel like I'm being lazy, or I don't feel like I'm not. I have different feelings. The feeling about attending an event like that is a little bit different. And that is a huge difference in the way how people come together and they learn about something, and then they network. When you repeat this over and over again, when you do 1 or 2 times a month on widely different topics, people come again and again and again, and that community starts building. That community starts to solidify, where people are having conversations potentially about work, but potentially not about work, through that natural networking mechanism that we have on this map. So how do you determine a topic? So that's going to be the next question, right? All right, you told me how to do this. Well, what topic should I pick? So you survey your audience on what topics they want to learn about. So you just create a survey, you send it out to everyone and say, hey, tell me what topic you want to learn about. Work related or not work related, it doesn't really matter, right? As long as it's helpful, as long as it's interesting, and something that people are really interested in. It's key that you want to get a topic where people are really, really interested. You have someone present the topic. It could be very short and sweet, 5 slides, and it can also be a discussion on a personal, professional topic. You can even have a discussion panel. I'm going to just change my camera here and see if you can do this here. Okay, can you guys still see me? Just doing a camera change. Can you guys still see me?
That was super slick. I don't know about you, but like, do you have some kind of production going on there, Hoyin?
No.
Because that was
Thanks. Yeah, no.
that just blew my mind. I would like to know how you did.
So this comes from buying a really expensive camera, like webcam, like the Logitech one, because I do so many, and then figuring out that it lags, which I'm guessing you guys all saw. Like, it's just lagging. And so I'm trying to switch back to my computer camera. So like, yeah, I'm like really frustrated that it lags. It's like the Logitech, nice Logitech camera. But anyways, it's a different discussion. But yeah, that's what happened. So it can be even a panel discussion about a certain topic. So kind of having like your own mini TED Talk or your own mini little summit, sort of. Okay, just give me a second here. Okay. So when it comes to communicating the event, I do have some best practices, because you've got the topic, but it's really important when you market it so that people actually come. And marketing it correctly, there is some ways to do it that just makes it more effective, especially when it comes to marketing internally, especially when it's something new and different. So here's some of my tips. My tips are like, you create a 1-minute Loom video. And everyone will, if anyone who knows me, they'll all tell you Hoyin loves Loom. And I do love Loom. Loom.com. It's really easy. I'm sure you guys know about it. You just record a quick 10-minute video, 1-minute video about what the video is about. Why are you doing it? What will happen during the event? We're going to do 10 minutes of networking, 20 presentation. We're going to do this, this, and this. What they will learn, and share the benefits of the success stories of others who showed up. So you can say like, oh, Liam showed up and he found out that so-and-so actually really likes avocados or something. And therefore he did something interesting with that person. Like, so he describes like a little bit of story building to say like, this is what you can get some really fun interaction by sharing some stories of some previous events. And then of course you can describe who is that perfect person. You are a person that is really interested in learning about something new, or really wants to be involved in the direction of the company because we're discussing about X, Y, and Z about our company initiative or something like that. And something that's really engaging that people can then just watch and then just consume and say, okay, this is something I may want to look. If it's a string of text, I think you should also do that too, have a string of text, but a Loom video is also great. So let's see. I'm going to see if I can do this. I'm going to see if I can play this. May not work. Yeah, this is probably not going to work since it's on a share screen. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit this up into the into my chat later, and then you guys can watch this. All right. So when you construct these events, you really want to encourage people to network immediately when they arrive. And then at the end of the presentation, you really want to encourage people to network again, which I will do right after this presentation. So you can transition into networking, and so people actually know what they want to do, know they have to do. So you can say, hey, please turn on your microphone and camera, have some fun, let's network. So you make sure you kind of have these strong call to actions. If you don't do that, people assume that the presentation is over, then they leave. So you really want to say that, and people will stick around because they're interested, they're curious, they want to know this what's going on, and they want to understand what you're already there. Basically, you're already there. So there's the cost, the effort to like do that extra thing is very little. So there's other ways that we've found that are really, really fun. And I'll share with you some interesting things. So we've done like networking, like speed networking, which it's just like everyone gets like 5 minutes and they like meet each other, meet another person, and then after 5 minutes they get up. One person gets up and they go to another table. Quick fire discussions where people just have really few minutes to like discuss about a topic, and then everyone gets up and then meets somebody else to discuss about a topic. Other games like Truth or Lie, where you try to guess, it's like one truth and two lie or something like that, and you basically try to figure out like which is the truth and which is a lie. And there's these small games that you can play. And then there's some discussion techniques, which I'll talk about later, which is one is called the World Cafe method, and one's called open space technology, which is basically unconference, and the Pecha Kucha. So I'll walk through some of these and what they are. So this was really fun. This is really interesting. It's a little bit more interactive and engaging. And we've tried this on our platform, and it's been really, really fun. So what a World Cafe is a facilitation technique that they actually use in person. And it was really difficult to do online. And we tried to do this online and on Remo, and it worked out really, really well. So basically what it is that you divide your group into like 4 or 5 groups, into different tables, evenly sized groups. People randomly sit down, and then there's a topic on each table. And then everyone talks about that topic, and there's one person who has like a notebook, and they just start jotting down all the notes. So you guys can create really interesting discussions. Like for example, I'll just give what are some of the main themes, or what should we do for our annual retreat? Remote teams, we do annual retreats. Sometimes we have discussions. So what should we do that? So it's like an idea generating session or something like that. Or maybe it's to discuss something that's really, really important to the company. So everyone then sits down and discusses, and they discuss for about 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, everyone gets up and then goes to another random table, sits back down, and then discusses the topic on that table again. So the person that then sits down, a new person is kind of nominated to then start writing like down notes about what's being said. And so it just becomes this really engaging discussion, and people can talk and hang out. It's just a different way to engage people instead of just like webinar or just networking, stuff like that. So it's just a very, very different way. And this has been very, very engaging and very successful in the way how we've done it. Unconference is classic unconference methodology where people kind of organize their own unconference style, like the ability to kind of like teach others and come up with topics and to do that. So we've had companies that have done unconference with our platform as well. But you know, it's just another example how you can do that. And then there's like the Pecha Kucha. So the Pecha Kucha, if for you guys who don't know, it's 20 images in 20 seconds. So it's a presentation, has 20 slides, and you literally talk about each slide 1 second. And you just jump, 20 seconds. Very, very fast. And people then just talk about whatever they want to talk about, or it could be around a central topic like environmentalism, or climate change, or like coronavirus that's happening, or whatever. So people can talk about these things really quickly and get through these ideas really quickly, and we can share the ideas and share the pitches, and it's just a different way of sharing it in a very quick way. Yeah, and so that's just a really quick kind of webinar to share some of the things that we've done that I've seen, where if you use these type of topics and these type of structures, these learning, these meeting structures, and you promote the event to both co-located and remote teams, when they come together, they do these really interesting experiences that leads to, like, these, by the way, shared experiences that eventually lead to a much more deeper collaboration and communication and community building within your company. That, what we've seen, has been very, very effective. And you keep on doing that, like week after week, month after month, it builds the community, then starts to build. And the relationships can start to deepen. And we've seen that in Slack, people's engagement and what they talk about, like the engagement between people, increases when after hosting a lot of events online through these methods. And that allows people to start be more willing to talk with each other and be more casual, because you build an actual relationship first, right? Face to face, rather than building a relationship through text first. And that's where we think that we are mapping more towards how humans operate. We believe that the way how humans operate is that we have face-to-face conversations first, just like running remote. You have face-to-face conversations first in an environment like running remote. We connect at running remote. I get your phone number and your email, then we start chatting and developing a relationship through text. That's how people in general normally kind of develop relationships. And so we're trying to map that. And how do we map that naturally online? So just a quick plug for running remote. This is just me just being really genuine about it. Like, I had such a great time both running remote that Liam and his team have organized. This is not some plug. This is just me actually just saying it's one of the best remote working summits that I've ever attended in terms of quality of speakers, content, meeting people. Whatever your goal is to learn, develop relationships, whatever it is, I was able to accomplish all of those when I went to running remote. So I think remote work is going to be a really, really big thing in 2020. I'll share it with you guys, and I know Liam is on here. I'll share with you guys a little bit. And I don't want to be a downer here, so if people think I'm a downer, please message it, and I'll be quiet, and I'll shut up as well. But I think
I'm gonna turn my mic on so that at any point that I think you're a downer, I'll just like yell at you.
Go ahead.
So here's what I think. I think this year in 2020 is going to be a really, really big thing for remote work. It's going to be huge, and I'll share with you why. The biggest remote working country in the world is China. Because of the coronavirus, there are literally 60 to 80 million people that are working remotely. I could not have imagined that. We all thought it's Europe and US. They're so sophisticated with working remote, and they still are. But now Asia is now the #1 biggest remote working group because of the coronavirus. And I've experienced this firsthand in Hong Kong. In Hong Kong right now, I've gotten huge interest for my products for working at home, and nobody knows how to work from home in Asia. No one. And everyone's adapting and going online like never before. The scary thing, and here's the downer, is based off of what's been happening so far in Italy and in South Korea, it doesn't seem like the outbreaks are probably not going to be not sure if they're going to be as controlled. And so there is possibilities that these outbreaks may continue. And if they do, remote work is only going to proliferate even more in 2020, even more. And so I think it's a great time to be part of running remote. I think it's a great time for remote work in 2020. And that's it. That's all I have to say.
I couldn't agree with you more, Hoyin. I think that you see, and I mean, if you can kind of define a silver lining inside of what's happening right now, and my heart goes out to everybody, particularly Hong Kong, probably my favorite city, definitely my favorite city in all of Asia, and top 3 cities on planet Earth for me. It's horrible what's happening there, but the silver lining is we're getting people to even experience remote work and recognizing, yes, you can actually these types of work opportunities, and you don't necessarily need to be left in. The other thing that I think is going to actually be even more interesting is after about a month or two of this experiment of people working remotely, the employers are going to discover that the employee productivity has not gone down. If anything, maybe the employee productivity has gone up. So then the employers will look at this and say to themselves, let's say you're running a $100 million business and $10 million a year is going towards real estate, just literally housing all of your staff, which is a major cost, right? It's probably above the actual cost of the staff. For a tech company, as an example, having like the actual space is the next biggest line item on their profit and loss statement. You might actually be able to get rid of that completely. I think a lot of employers are going to basically recognize the remote because we ran this 2-month experiment, which was forced, unfortunately, but then we're going to be able to get access to work opportunities that we wouldn't have been able to get access to. So I think that that's such an exciting idea, because it will be kind of the spark that just starts remote work on a massive scale. I actually thought it was probably going to be an economic slowdown that would really start remote work, because I think with an economic slowdown, do you cut people or do you cut your real estate? And people would say, well, let's try cutting real estate. Let's try just having everyone work from home to reduce our costs. But the coronavirus seems to be forcing this process, forcing people's hand. And so I'm hopeful that after the dust settles in about a year, when all of this stuff is kind of over, we'll have an environment where a whole bunch of people, maybe an extra 100, 200 million people have experienced remote work that have just never experienced it before.
Yeah. And what's crazy right now is a lot of people in Hong Kong are adapting. And for all of us who've been working remote for such a long time, life has not changed. Life has changed like nothing. But for everyone else that I've talked to, their minds are being blown. Like they're basically being like, oh my God, I don't know how to work anymore. I don't know how to work. I hate working at home. I don't know how to do it. And so there's a lot of people. I think, Liam, you're going to get a lot of people from Asia. I think your demographic may change for Austin. I think, because I have a lot of my colleagues or in my startup, they're already going to another remote conference in April. Right. They're already going to, because they don't know how to do it. They don't know how to work. And so your conference, I think the timing just couldn't be any better. Like, honestly, like the timing just could not be any better. Liam? Uh-oh, looks like the connection is a little bit poor. Liam, you still there? Let me just turn off my share screen here. Does anybody have any questions as I wait for Liam to kind of come back? Okay. Alex has a question, which is, how does Remo work in terms of the video streams? Do you hook up your existing video platforms such as BlueJeans or Zoom, or is it part of the video? It's part of the product. Yeah. So we have our own video platform. So what you get is the video platform itself. The video platform itself. Yeah. It's a good question though. Hey, Liam. Hey. I can
Back on. Yeah, I
Okay.
think that you're absolutely right. Can you hear me and can you see me?
Yep.
Hopefully.
Yep.
Yeah. One of the things that I wanted to kind of touch on before we go into the roundtable discussion is what we should probably announce that, and we're just announcing this here because one of the things that's always frustrating with physical conferences is you don't want to announce this too quickly, but we're going to be having an online component as well, particularly for people that, let's say you're in, mainland China. Hook yourself up with a sweet VPN. I would suggest Nord. They're also a sponsor of Running Remote, which I think will be a great kind of, everyone that wants a copy of Nord, let me know. We'll be able to hook you up if you're in mainland. And we'll be streaming to all of this stuff, and we're going to be running it through. I think will be really exciting. So we'll.
Oh, Liam dropped. His network is probably a little bit. Okay. Just wait for Liam a little bit longer to see if he's still on. By the way, we've recorded this, and the recording doesn't reflect the quality here. It's not reflected on there. It's like a high quality stream up. So hopefully that we can get him back online. Liam, no, can you turn your mic and cam off? And then we'll just quickly wrap up, and then we can go to some discussions offline, or discussions in the tables. But does anyone have any other questions about like hybrid teams and the kind of like the culture? Oh, there we go. Hey, Liam.
I'm back. I just wanted.
Hey.
We're going to be streaming it through Remo. I think that's going to be really exciting. One of the core things that we wanted to make sure that we were going to do, if we were going to do a live stream, was have some of the networking components into it, because we just didn't want to just like turn on a video and say, okay, you can watch the videos, because you could wait later on for YouTube or something like that when we put out the talks, but to actually be active participants, I think is really exciting. So that's going to be super cool. So if you can't come down in person, you'll be able to get the live stream through Remo, which will be pretty cool. We're both kind of thinking about some cool strategies that we could implement to make this a lot more interactive for a lot of you guys that are interested in buying a virtual ticket that can't buy an actual face-to-face ticket. So we'll be strategizing that. But if you are interested in anything like that, just reach out to Hoyin or reach out to me, and we'll be able to hook you up with the virtual.
And of course, I'm going to be there. I'm actually going to be at Running Remote physically. So if you guys see me, say hi. I'll be there helping out with some of the events. So I'll be doing the offline networking event as well. So we're going to have a online networking event before the event, and then an offline networking during the event as well. So please come hang out. Love to talk about remote work. And yeah, and I'll see you guys there, online or offline. All right. So please, guys, stick around. I'm going to be in the tables. Double click to go to a different table, and I will see you guys in the networking. Talk to you guys soon.
Cool.